Internets, hello you lovelies. We are back for more Star Wars Skeleton Crew. We took a little break. It was the holidays. This episode dropped on, I believe, Christmas Eve, and then I'm going to do the episode that dropped on New Year's Eve next, just in time to be up to date with this week's episode 7 of 8. So we're going to wrap this show out. If you're new to this page, I love comic books, I love movies, I love TV. I've been working in the film industry-ish for like 15-ish years, and I've been reading comics since I was 2. I learned to read with them. So if you like comics, I read about 50 to 70 a week, and I break down my favorites every week for you. If you like movies, I review a lot of the biggest movies every single week, and I cover a lot of genre content TV. So if any of that is your cup of tea, hit that subscription bell. We're approaching 42K, and when we hit 50K, I'm going to be doing a 50 comic giveaway, and I'm very excited about it. So let's get to 50,000. Every follower is going to be eligible. I'm very excited to do so. Also, please hit a like in this video so I know that you liked this video. And most of all, let's have a conversation in the comments below. This is a couple weeks old, but a lot of people asked me to cover Skeleton Crew even with a gap, so I'd love to hear your thoughts on episode 5. Let's talk all about Skeleton Crew. Now, this episode for me, I don't know if it's because I took a little gap or if it's the actual episode pacing, wasn't quite the super highs that I personally got out of 3 or 4, but I did enjoy it quite a bit more than the 1 and 2, which was kind of finding its rhythm for me. I really like this episode, the spa-centric episode, this furthering of the mystery, but I definitely felt like it was kind of like one of those bottle episodes, not in the traditional sense of like it's in one location or it's a pared down cast, but just in that we had a lot of little goings on before the big end of episode revelation. And a lot of Star Wars TV is kind of serialized like that, where there's a big peak at the end right before a cliffhanger, but this episode felt a little bit more, maybe it's because it was 45 minutes, there was a bit more of that ruminating time in the middle, and that isn't necessarily a bad thing. TV is beautifully serialized, so we can have these water cooler conversations, but I will say I noticed the pacing of this episode, for me, being a little slower than 3 and 4, which to me are the best episodes of the season so far, if memory serves. This episode in particular, I think, solidifies the theory I've had since episode 1 or 2, that this is going to be not just Goonies, not just all the Amblin feel, but specific to Spielberg's Amblin feel. This to me feels like Hook. I really think, and I don't know if they'd ever let them do this in universe, I do think this is going to be one of the kids' stories. And they even say, this isn't one of your stories in the episode. I do feel like the level of duplicitousness that Jude Law's characters have, the number of names the character has, the number of aha moments, and even the spa itself feels like how a kid would see adults. This to me feels like how a kid perceives an adventure, how a kid perceives what adults do to relax. That whole spa setting felt like when a kid's like, man, how do adults hang out? It's describing the spa. It's that other Jedi assassin, not Jedi, but that other, a bounty hunter assassin coming in. That felt very much like, and then what would happen? Oh, I bet another bounty hunter comes in and finds out, and oh, they got to go on a run. And even the way the bounty hunter spoke, all of this, the comedic elements of him paying more than dumping out all his money, that is both the traditional comedic beats, but also very much like a kid describing a scenario in which an adult is going to get away with this being, clandestine, this espionage scene. And the way even the magic of Jude Law's character used the Force, and then when asked about being a Jedi, that was very mysterious, like a kid wouldn't know how adulting works. And I think that's a beautiful thing, because even if my big tinfoil hat theory isn't true, it's really cool to have a story from the perspective of kids looking into Star Wars. And I've been saying from episode 1, I think this is a really unique tone of show so that the new generations can find their way into Star Wars. My generation was in reverence of the 70s Star Wars, which is still my favorite trilogy of them. And then the Star Wars we had growing up, when I was like 11, we got, the new trilogy, the prequel trilogy. And then as I was an adult, we got the sequel trilogy, but I don't feel like there's been a real gateway to entry for Gen Z and Gen Alpha, and I feel like this show, having such young characters looking up to these Jedi in-universe, having these adventures in-universe, having this fun sense of Amblin, young entertainment, will bring a lot of folks in, but then for people my age and older, they've got all the 80s references, they've got all the Amblin stuff, so I do think if in universe there is the twist of this is one of the stories, this is someone that knows whatever character in real life Jude Law in real Star Wars is playing, and he's, you know, telling a tale like Princess Bride, I think that'll work great. And I think if it doesn't end up being that, it'll still be a really good choice to have everything beat by beat feel like this young mystery and the Goonies elements that are clear as day. As far as the episode itself, I really liked the spa planet. I really liked the journey to get there. I liked that I didn't know what was going to happen. The using episodic is really fun because the episode ended with, you know, they're going to this place and then they get there and there is still the mystery of how much the robot knows and whether or not he's leading them on the right path. I love that I'm thinking less and less that the obvious choice of Jude Law is the pirate in the opening. I think maybe they're double blinding us and it's a different person. I think that's a really cool opportunity. Or he could obviously just be the pirate we saw in the beginning, which I think what everybody assumes he's going to be. I do like that we don't know how, you know, the Force is being wielded, if he's an excommunicated Jedi in this canon, if he is actually a pirate, like the opening seemed to allude, if he is on the run for another reason. I do like that the mystery of that keeps leveling up as we unfold in things. I really like that we care about each of these kids enough that I'm invested in each of their journeys now. Like, we've gotten to the point, and mainly with the last episode for me, I said, like, I now care about them individually. They feel like they have their own personality enough that I loved the moment when the kid gets the lightsaber and you think it's going to be this really badass moment and then he's literally holding it upside down. And I've often thought that with lightsabers, if you're untrained, they look the same both ways. If you're really not looking at it, obviously the hilt is one-sided. But if you're quickly grabbing something, it is a cylinder. So I love the reveal of the voof, and then the dropping it and it launching across the way. Really enjoyed that. My favorite episode still deals with, you know, the effects of kids at war in a wartime planet, but even this is the dangers of weaponry in kids' hands in that little instance, and it is the dangers of bringing kids to a adult environment and how they'd feel out of place and making them the elders, and the joy of the spa, and like these kids feeling out of place on this adventure wherever they go until they get back to At-At. And in the end, a moment we've been waiting for, the inevitable betrayal of these kids. There's been enough of the Jude Law movie star charm of whose side is he on, will he, won't they betray him. It seemed very obvious in the beginning, as it should have, that, you know, he had no loyalty to these kids, but it's been a lot of this building a bond between them of which side is he on, and in this episode we did see, at least seemingly, that he would be willing to sacrifice these kids altogether. So that, to me, is, I think, the big cliffhanger for the next episode is how will he prove to them that he had their best interest at heart, because this obviously seems very much like he is the selfish guy that we met at the very beginning, and that arc can fall short. So will he be a seeming pirate? Is this, once again, the perception of how kids see adults, that they'd only choose themselves, that he isn't, you know, having their best interest at heart? Or will there be the reveal that somehow he was doing all this for the greater good? Really fun show. I really am digging this. Andor is kind of the bar for me as far as what Star Wars content is in the modern day, and I honestly think that this is a really fun companion to that. Andor is the very adult, slow burn drama, you know, Gilroy, very slow paced, methodical. This is whimsical and fun, and Star Wars can be both those things. Star Wars can be super intense, but it can also be Return of the Jedi. It can be Empire, and it can be Return of the Jedi, and sometimes even back-to-back like that. So I love that we have Andor coming out very soon, and the thing before it is a more young-leaning, whimsical, fun time. Really want to know, especially with the gap, I haven't covered this since, I think it was like December 18th, or whatever day it was for the last episode, how people are liking the show, how it's evolved. I'm going to be doing episode 6, hopefully today. I think it's episode 6. I keep saying 5, but I think the next one I have to cover is 6. I just pressed a button. I'm going to be covering the next one I can. It's either going to drop later on today or first thing in the morning. And then I'm hoping to line up getting the last episode that's the current episode out in time to release it that day. But I do have a premiere for a brand new movie from Universal, The Wolfman. So that literally, The Wolfman is within an hour of the show airing, so it might be too tight to try to somehow watch and record and get out the door. But we will see. Either way, I'll have the most current episode up within the week of it airing, which feels nice because we'll be all caught up for the finale of The Skeleton Crew. If you're still watching this video, please hit a like. I would love to know that you liked this video. Please leave a comment below. I would love to know what you thought of this overall. Do you have a favorite one of the kid actors as far as like what their arc is that you most identify with? Do you still, I mean, personally, Jude Law's duplicitousness is the most interesting character to me. It was also cool to see the world building of getting a new hut. We seemingly got another member of Jabba the Hutt's royal family briefly in there. What world building are you most enjoying and which character you most enjoying? I'd really love to know in the comments below. And again, if you're still watching, hit that subscription bell. Let's get to 42K on the road to 50K for the 50 comic giveaway, because I love things that rhyme. Please do all those things. Press all those buttons. Let me know what you thought of the Skeleton Crew. I dug this episode. I'm digging this show. Overall, the vibe is really working for me, and I'm really glad there's a gateway of entry for new Star Wars fans. And overall, I'm glad there's a young skewing show that doesn't feel like it's infantilizing us. It's just young skewing. It doesn't have to be dumb to be young, and I really enjoy that the show knows that. It can be like when I was growing up, Old Man Yells at Cloud. There were shows for kids that were still entertaining for adults, and I think Pixar has done that really well overall. I think they're like, in the past, it was successful when we remember them, but even in the present, as adults, we can look at some of these kid shows being for all ages, not just for kids. And I think it's very important to make all ages content, not just for kids content and for adults content. Both are important. We need things just for kids and things just for adults, but all ages is really nice too. So I like that the show isn't infantilizing us while still being a fantastic all ages show. That is going to do it for episode 5, I believe. And we'll be back later on today or first thing tomorrow with the episode that aired on New Year's Eve. Like, subscribe, comment. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.